Stefan, what's your job position here?
Technical director, and I'm also a sound engineer to mixing some shows around Quebec, around the world even.
Shows, theater?
Theater, rock and roll, all kinds.
Okay, in Solotech, you guys supply a lot of gear, different systems for different styles of music.
Yeah, that's...
You use larger models like the one behind us and a lot of smaller models. The PA systems that you use are what brands?
Well, it differs. It's different for like the needs from every client. It's different. You know, we use mainly for major gigs. We use a Mayer sound system, which is like the largest and the best technology on the market right now. But it can go to a small Bose system, which is all depends what you want to do. You know, if you want to do a press conference or you have a small band for clubs, then we use like a JBL system. It's like it varies according to the needs of the bands or the act or the theater piece or whatever. You know, it's like so. And also we supply a lot of TV technical support, you know, for studios and stuff like this.
Okay, when you put a band together, what's really necessary? What kind of sound do you use? The artists have to hear themselves. That's monitoring.
Yeah, those are stage monitors. All depends. That's also we use like different type of stage monitors. It's like there's some smaller ones, there's larger ones. All depend the gigs. All depends also the needs of. Solotech has a very wide inventory that can support like a small band, a small bar band, to like a large arena setup like the Forum or some stuff like that.
So there'll be multiple monitor mixes.
There are multiple monitor mixes, yes. We use there's different setup. We can use up to 24 mixes, different mixes on stage, or it can be a smaller one, like just 2 wedges for a folk singer or something like this.
Yeah, to make this a little easier for people to understand that are listening, monitor mixing is meant so that each musician gets a clear sound of what the others are doing while it's live.
Yes, that's it. Like monitor mixes, it's like what the singer is hearing or what the musician is hearing on stage. So usually on larger setup, we have a console that looks like this, and the sound engineer that does sound only for musician on stage. And it's a different setup than doing sound. It's a different job for a sound engineer than doing monitors and doing the front of house sound. So it's a different ball game because you have to do like 10 to 12, maybe up to 16 different musicians, and they want to hear something different in their speakers. They all have a different, like they all have a separate speaker.
Okay, so we have a monitor mixing man, we have a front of house mixing man.
That's it, that's right.
Mixing for the people in the audience.
Yeah.
About how many people would it take to put on, say, a show in the Forum?
Well, you have like a show like the Forum, you start like you have the sound engineers, and then you have like the technicians that are working with the sound engineer that are supporting the sound engineer, because you need at least, like, to put up a sound system, you need at least 6 to 8 guys, and then you have the sound engineers. And in some of the large tour in North America, like the large rock and roll setup, it's a different job. Like the sound engineer is only mixing the sound, and there's a system engineer that put the system together and make it work properly.
The system engineer takes care of the transportation of the equipment and how it's arranged inside the auditorium or venue.
Yeah, and like most of the time, like as the sound engineer, only takes care of the mix itself. Like the system engineer will take care of like to make the speaker sound good, to make all the people in the arena to have a good coverage, and to make sure like that the sound engineer is comfortable to work with the system.
Mm-hmm. You see this speaker system a lot of the times when you go to a show, it's high in the air. They call this flown.
Yeah, well, we call that, it's called flown or rigged or whatever. That makes like this came up first maybe like 15 years ago to block like the view of the people, to get a clear sight line all around the stage. That's one of the main reasons why it's flown in the air.
Okay, the Mayer system you were talking about has a unique style of flying rig.
Yes, it is, but a unique style. It's like every type of speaker they have adapted. We have to adapt a setup to fly up in the air because they all work differently. they're all, and there's a lot of safety questions in there, because we don't fly like 15 tons of speakers over people that, you know. Has to be well done, has to be approved by engineers, has to be, the security is they're very important.
It's also lifted by motorized
Yeah, it's lifted by motorized
pulleys.
Yeah, motorized pulleys. It's used to be like, those motors are mainly used in large shops to lift motor, big engines or stuff like this. And we adapted those motors to what we do, because usually the motors goes up in the front, goes up in the ceiling, and the chain goes down. But the way we work is the opposite. So we've adapted that system maybe 10 to 15 years ago.
Okay, so we need people to help fly the system. We need a front of house sound man. We need a monitor man. We need technicians to work with both the technicians. So I would say, roughly, to put on a forum-sized show, you would need about how many people?
Well, 6 to 8 people will do the gig. You know, all depends. Like, there's some guys like. All depend what, like, some of the sound engineer, they don't work physically, you know, they just come in the gig, they mix the show, that's it, that's all, they're gone. If they work, if they work as I do, you know, when I go in the morning, I fly the system, I mix the show, it's like more like a smaller setup, but it's up to 6 to 8 guys. Plus you need like local crews from every cities you go, you need a local crew, like some shows, like there's 20 to 25 guys on the local crew.
What about the stage itself? The Solotech supply stages?
Actually, we don't. That's the only part of a show that we don't supply, because we supply sound, we supply lighting, we supply like the rigging stuff, we supply projections, we supply almost everything except staging, because it's a different, you know, it will be it's too much of our hardware for us, because it's more our setup are more technically, you know. And usually, mainly when you go to a place like the Forum, there's a stage already there, so you don't need to supply any stages.
Okay, the bands usually come in with their customizations, their own drum risers, their own...
Yeah, the band comes with their own production. That's part of the band setup. It's like part of a backdrop or stuff like this they use on stage. So their own drum risers, it's part of it. It's part of their own gig.
Solotech did a lot of installations around Montreal, including for Fun Electric, La Brique, the Spectrum.
Yeah, we did. We actually did. Like Solotech is. We also did like the Olympic Stadium, the sound system for the Olympic Stadium. We did stuff like the Maison de la Culture, they call. We do like video installation, sound, lighting, and places like the Spectrum and La Brique and the Club Soda and stuff like this.
So somewhere like the Spectrum, where the PA is already installed, most of the bands just come in and they use what's already available.
Yeah, some of the guys, like the thing what's important at the Spectrum or La Brique, it's the same setup, is like there's already speakers. If you want to use their own speakers, they're already flown up in the air, so you don't have to worry about that in the morning. Some of the production will use the house console and the house monitoring that are supplied on stage, and sometimes bands are carrying their own production, so that means they're carrying their own console, they're carrying their own monitors, and they will just use the speakers that are in place.
Okay, so sometimes they rent more equipment from you, and sometimes they don't. It's not necessary because of the installation you've already had assembled.
Yeah, some bands are too large to fit in the setup that are in house, in that case, we have to supply more equipment. We have to supply more console. We have to supply more stage monitors. We have to supply microphones, everything.
Hi, this is Rob Campbell for Offstage. Today we're going to go inside CoStar and talk to JP Tiberio about some lighting equipment. Hi, JP. Could you tell me a little bit about some of the products that you offer here at CoStar Lighting?
Sure. There's 3 types of products that we carry: sound-activated effects, manually operated, and intelligent lighting. The sound-activated effects Some names are like the Apollo, Kalima, Mini Star, Derbies, Futura flowers, mushrooms, celts, spirits. Some of the manually operated ones are like the Parkans from Kupo or Penfab, Thomas. These here are Parkans such as Park 46, Park 56, Park 64, mostly used for stage lighting for bands, either front end or side view or backstage lighting. The intelligent lighting are some of the effects that some of these effects are the RoboScan, and in the RoboScan series there's different categories, different models, such as the 804, this is the smallest one, to the largest one, 1020. In between there's the 805, 1004, 1005, 1016, and the 1020. Then also in the Robo category, Robo series, there's the Robo Zap. They came up with a new one, the RoboZap MSR 1200. New one improved, more power in the lighting. There's the Robo Colors also.
In simpler terms, where are they being used right now, these special effects?
Well, effects are like the average person off the street is using the effect to do some production in their home. But a lot of it also is being used in rehearsal halls, clubs, discotheques, bars, pubs, the local church hall downstairs, the schools, community halls, all sorts, house parties in a house, all sorts.
Okay, how do some of these lighting apparatuses work? You mentioned intelligent lighting, you mentioned manually operated lighting, you mentioned sound activated.
The sound activated devices work with a microphone, an integrated microphone which is activated with sound. You do have a control to the sensitivity of the microphone. Normally there would be a button behind the device to control the intensity of the sound. The manually operated, you normally have two devices. You would need a dimmer pack or a relay pack. It all depends on what type of lighting you use. If the device has a motor inside, you cannot use a dimmer pack. Therefore, you need a relay pack. And on where the lighting technician is working with, he would normally have a console, a lighting console, in order to control every light individually. The intelligent lighting, we have two types of controllers. Let's say for the Martin, two types of controllers, the 2208 or the 2232. The difference is the 2232 is a larger unit and works with diskettes, whether it be floppy or hard. The smaller one, the 2208, is only 1.4 meg, which is integrated inside the unit.
About how much do some of these units cost? Let's start with, say, something that's audio activated, one of your sound activated devices.
The least expensive sound activated device would range at around $350 and would go anywhere to $2,000–$3,000. The average cost of a sound activated device would be around $7. We also have lighting effects for home entertainment, such as mirror balls, spinners, helicopters, little park cans as decor for a house or a pub, and also rope lighting, which people normally tend to use for a little bit of decor in their house or around the Christmas tree.
So most of this lighting is disco oriented.
Well, you can't really say disco oriented. Each lighting effect has its own nature, has its own application. Sure, we tend to use disco lighting to name an effect as for a club or whatnot, because clubs tend to have from house lighting to all the way to intelligent lighting. But there's no such, you can't really categorize any of these effects. A lot of the average person would buy a mirror ball for a little bit of decor in their house, or a discotheque would buy a little Par 16 as a decor for a wall frame.
Okay, So I realize now that a lot of the lighting is used for dancing and discotheques, and you've also mentioned that it can be used for other purposes. But what about rock bands?
Rock band. Well, we specialize in rock bands also. Rock bands tend to go with parkans. The parkan, you have different types of lamps in there: narrow spot, medium floods, or floods. It all depends on where the lamp is located, how high the ceiling is, and what type of a rock band it is. The different types of parkans, like I had mentioned earlier on, were the par 46, par 56, and par 64. What changes between the par 46 to the par 50 to the par 64 is basically the diameter of the lamp, the throw of the lamp, or whether it be medium or narrow or a flood lamp. The intensity of the lamp, whether it be incandescent or quartz, also changes, has an effect on the lifespan of the lamp and the density and the heat that the lamp gives out. Bands also like to use smoke machines for, let's say, dimming the lights, and then all of a sudden the lights come on, and when the smoke's there, it gives them that rock and roll effect, that misty effect. So you can satisfy basically any need, whether it be band, DJ off the street with renting them two-man photos, which are tripods, with a truss going down the middle. So once he raises his tripods or his manfrottos with the truss, he can hook up his lighting effects on the truss and angle them to whichever corner he'd like, or wherever on the floor he pleases.
So if I had my own party, or I put my own band together, could I come to CoStar and get what I needed to create my performance?
Definitely. See, we specialize in lighting and in sound, but in the lighting department, we specialize in whatever it be, whether it be a band, whether it be a DJ off the street, whether it be the average person, satisfy any needs. We could rig up any gig to please both band and DJ at the same time in the same rehearsal hall, whether it be a church, reception, or a discotheque. It's all a question of setting up the truss or setting up the gear to the appropriate angles, catching the right spots and pleasing both crowds.
So CoStar supplies a variety of services.
Sure, we offer installation, 24-hour services. We also install at any time of the night or any time of the day, whenever it's convenient for the client. We also offer repairs. We have 2,000 square feet of territory downstairs in our basement, fully loaded with specialized equipment. We're authorized dealer for repairs for many of the lighting products. We're complete in the lighting department, complete from A to Z. And if we don't have it, we'll get it, definitely. And our pricing is the best in town.
Hi, we're off stage again here at Solotech. This is Andre. Andre, what's your position here in Solotech?
Here I'm a technical director for the lighting department here in Solotech.
Yeah, you are in charge of the rentals, or are you in charge of the installations?
Me, mostly I'm in charge of all the equipment, or is not usually the lights. I mean, if you're talking about the PARs or Fresnels or regular lights, I'm not very in charge of this. I'm only in charge about the special effect in the lights. I mean, the super scans, space cannon, different kind of a moving light.
Explain a special effect lighting fixture.
First, maybe we can talk about the super scans. The super scan have a different kind of a feature, like they're panning, they're tilting too. They're having a lot of colors, a lot of gobos, focus, dozer, You can program this lights. You can have all the effects with this lights. So I'm in charge of this department.
Okay, a gobo in a lamp is different varieties of patterns.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You do have a lot of different kind of patterns. You have access to a catalog, and you have many kind of breakup points, parallel breakup, clouds, soft breakup, different kind. You have about maybe 100, 150 kinds of gobos.
And the tilt feature, how does this work on a SuperScan?
The tilt feature, this is programmed by a special board called a CompuLite. This kind of a board, you can program about 48 SuperScans. You can pan, tilt, do everything with that board, and that's it. You can have this feature from the CompuLite. You need a board, of course.
Panning and tilting is actually, the beam is straight and it shoots off a reflective surface, a mirror.
Yeah, you do need you need a mirror to make that light move, because we have a very strong light called HMI 1200, and that lamp, it's too big to make the feature move. So that's why you need a mirror to make the light move. Is different from, if we can talk about the Verilight, this is the big difference between the Verilight and the SuperScan.
The whole fixture moves itself.
Yeah, but the difference about the foot candle, the SuperScan, it's a way stronger than the Verilight, just because the lamp is, of course, a way stronger.
Okay, behind you are par fixtures. Those are the normal stationary lights used in rock and roll.
Yeah.
Okay, there's other forms of stationary lights used in rock and roll and theater and just sometimes for press conference.
Yeah, we do have it. Of course, we do have a different kind of incandescent lights lamp. This is a bar of 6. Is a group of a par. You can have also inside a different kind of a pars. You can have very narrow, medium, wide, and also you do have a Lecos, Fresnels, 500 watts, 1K, 2K, 5K. This is a different kind of a Fresnels.
Okay, when these lights are installed, especially with Solotech doing so many shows that move and need transport, you have what's called a rigging system or flying system.
Yeah, actually, here in Solotech, we're just calling this a trusses, and we're using the trusses to hang the bar of 6 or the ACL bar. This is a group of 4. Also the Fresnel and Leco. It's a truss 10 feet long, and you can put a different lengths of a truss. You can have 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, and you also can put motors to fly this.
How many people does it take normally to set up and tear down a lighting show?
To depend how much lamp you do have. Normally, the normal show here is about 200 lamps, and we do need about 6-8 people to set up 200 lamps. And this is you starting at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and you can finish at 2, 3, something like this.
Could you explain to me about the effect hardware xenon?
Okay, that machine was designed for the lighting designer to paint the wall or to paint a screen. You can have a picture like 40 feet per 30 feet or whatever the size. That machine was designed. It's a kind of diapositive. Okay, is a frame 180 millimeters per 180 millimeters, and you can shoot this on the wall. This is for the huge projector.
We'll move along here to another lighting effect.
Okay.
What else do you have?
Here we do have a space cannon. This is a kind of a searchlight. The one is almost looks like the one on the top of Ville-Marie building, it's almost the same, except then this one is panning and tilting. The one from Ville-Marie only turning around, and the Space Cannon having a pan and a tilt from the ground, or you can hook that one, of course. You do have a 2,000 watt xenon bulb inside the Space Cannon. So it's not the huge machine, but it's a very, very powerful machine.
Okay.
And we did use that one on the parade of the 350th anniversary.
Okay.
So that was very nice effect.
When a lighting board is being operated, there's various models. What kind of lighting equipment do you use
Here,
as far as console?
in Solotech, we do have a different kind. To start from a simple, we do have Lightboard Ham Mantrix. This is a small board. We do have a Celco, different kind of a Celco, 30 channel, 60 channel. We do have a different kind of Evo light too. We do have a 30 channel, 60 channel, and 180 channels. And we do have also Impact, who's having a 350 channel, and we do also have a Compulite, who's having a lot of channel to operate the SuperScan and a lot of channel to operate just a regular light from a dimmer and from everything.
When Solotech is installing a lighting system, they obviously need a fair amount of hydroelectricity.
Yeah, yeah. To depend how much, of course, to depend how much lamp you're using. You need a big distribution, like a 400 amps. We do have a disconnect, 400 amps per leg, or we can use, of course, more. To depend how much you need.
Okay, as I asked your friend Stefan earlier, do you enjoy your job here?
Oh yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, of course.
You have a lot of fun?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's very, very nice to work in the Solotech, of course.
It's
and
creative.
It's a very, very good experience for everyone to work in a shop, because it's probably the best school to learn how everything is working. And of course, because the Solotech is a very, very big company, Solotech have the opportunity to make a big, big show. So that's why it's very nice for us to work here.
Obviously, as I was just about to mention, you find it creative. Do you get to design a lot of your own shows with your own technique?
Yeah. I'm designing a lot of show. I think I'm doing a lot of TV show. I did La Disque. I did Les Galas des Prix Gémeaux. I did the opening season for the Canadian team. I did. I'm doing Ginette Renault. I did Daniel Lavoie too. I did a lot of shows.
Well, that's very good.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of shows.
All right. Well, it's been very nice talking to you, and
That was
I
my
hope
pleasure.
to talk to you soon.
Sure.
This is Rob Campbell from Offstage. Hello, Francois.
Hello, Rob.
How are you?
Not bad, you?
Good. Listen, could you please explain what is studio economic?
Yes, okay. Studio Economic do rent some different size, for all kinds of different application or different work that artists have to do. Let's say I'm gonna start by explaining what it's Studio Economic. The first part is just Studio Economic have 8 studios totally soundproof on one floor, and we do include in the studio, if the musician needed, a sound system with the microphone, the console, the speaker, the effects, whatever they need to do their project, and we rent them per hour, per week or per day, whatever they need, with all the equipment they need to do the application, the work they have to do. And in all the studio, like, we have different size. Some could be equipped with, let's say, just a drum, a guitar amp, a bass amp, you know, and just some microphone, and the musician can practice for a night or for one day or a weekend, and they can, let's say, produce some song and record them. Some other will want to come in and just record, let's say, make a small demo tape on 4-track or 8-track, and in about, let's say, 4 or 5 hours, they can do something pretty good. You know, they can make some good song, and it's pretty economic. We have, let's say, a small studio with a drums, a guitar amp, and a bass amp, and all the system for it start at $40 for 4 hours. And I don't know any place in Montreal where they have that right now. You know, that's why we put in together some different studio with different price, and to, let's say, to support the needs of the musician in town. And
So your clientele is basically just musicians?
we have some different clientele. Some people are not musicians. We have some people like any age, from let's say, I saw some people 12 years old, and I have some clients 70 years old. Some came in with their violin and some all kinds of weird instrument, and they wanted to record that and have a cassette to play at Christmas, let's say, things like that. And some other, we had some young student coming in to record flute with a guitar acoustic to have a cassette for their project at school.
But it's not just recording.
No, but some
People are just practicing.
Yeah. Also, let's say, like you say, some people come and just to practice some song to do a show. We also have some professional that, let's say, rent a studio for 1 month and then prepare the whole album. You know, they write all the song, and they prepare the album in the studio without recording almost anything, just to prepare the album, and then
Pre-production.
Pre-production, and then they go into another studio somewhere else to record the album. You know, we have that kind of event too. Also, we have some teacher that come to prepare, let's say, a French lesson or an English lesson. They use the recorder, then let's say they talk in English, French, and they prepare a course for the school. We have all kinds of clientele.
What kind of equipment is available for recording at the Studio Economic?
Okay, if we talk about the small studio, right now we have 8-track half-an-inch. We have also a DAT machine, digital audio tape. This gives a nice clean sound. We have also a 4-track. We use a 24-channel board Soundcraft right now to mix. And if we need something more professional, we have, like here, a Tascam 3800 with a Tascam 24-channel board, 24-channel on LBS. With that, you can get a higher quality of recording. And we go from, let's say, 2-track on a cassette to 24-track half-an-inch. This is about the range of equipment that we have right now for recording.
Right now we're in Studio Economic Plus.
That's right, because the first we saw like the small studio, we have 8 studios like that, and also we have another part that's called Studio Economic Plus, include a bigger recording equipment for a different clientele that's a bit more professional, that needs different equipment and more space and more privacy.
Which equipment is available here in Studio Economic Plus, and how big is the studio itself?
Okay, we have Studio Economic Plus have 3 rooms right now. Have 1 room that it's a big hall, 50 by 30 with a ceiling of 20 feet, and in that room, like the artists prepare their show, their concert, they install everything that like they would be on stage, and they practice the show. And also that room could be used for, let's say, for some video or for some picture, stuff like that. And annexed to that studio, we have this studio right here. That's a 24-track recording studio, and in this one we can record, you know, what's happening in the big hall, or record something just inside over here. And also on the second floor we have a conference room with like a kitchen and table, desk, phone, and stuff like that.
What are you using for monitoring?
In this studio right now we use the KRK monitor for reference of recording, but in the big hall, when some artists need a good monitor system, we use the EA&W monitor system. That studio is included with PV 36 channel, 8 monitor EA&W, and we could go up to 8 mix right now. With every mix have a 31 band equalizer and a different amplifier, and it's really good. You know, it's good enough for rehearsal. It's good.
Well, here you can record each separate instrument.
Yes.
And then after, they can be remixed.
Yes, yes, yes. As long as you go on a multi-track recorder from 4-track to 24-track, you can record one instrument at a time and then remix them after, and to make a final product. That means, let's say if it's one guy that play all the instrument, the same guy could play first the drums and then the bass, and that same guy can redo the song and play the guitar and the vocal and the keyboard and everything one by one. That means the same man could play all the instrument 24 times on 24 track, and then remix that on 2 track to be able to listen that at home. That's why, like 24 track, it's good because sometimes the same person will play more than one instrument, or you have one instrument that needs more than one track.
How long has Studio Economic been available to the public?
Okay, we start the first part of Studio Economic 3 years ago. It took us about a year to put it on the market, and now it started to happen because we do sell a membership card across the street on the Studio Economic 1, and we already have over 1,200 members that paid $20 to have the membership card to get the lower rate of rental. That means at over 1,000 members, it's pretty important. I think people start to know about us right now. And on Studio Economic Plus, we don't sell membership card because it's more professional, it's a different clientele, it's open 24 hours a day on this side, and Studio Economic 1 is open from 9 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week.
Well, Francois, this has been very informative. Thanks very much for talking to me.
No problem, thank you.
I'm speaking with Sheldon, the manager of Steve's Music Store right now. Hi, how are you, Sheldon?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, we've just passed in through the front door of Steve's Music, and
As you came through the front door, that used to be Steve's Music Store 27 years ago. That was Steve's Music Store as it consisted, selling all the types of equipment through 51 St. Antoine Street West. We have since made an expansion, as you could see, and as you will see through the film clips.
okay, you carry a variety of guitars and strings and basses and
We try to
keyboards.
cater to the entire market. We cater from anywhere between the amateur, from the first person walking through the doors, to the professional. And when we do so, we try to do it correctly. Yes, we have all types of accessories. We have all types of electric guitars, amplification, basses, signal processing. We have recording department, acoustic guitars, classical department. We have keyboard department, computer software, computer peripherals. We have a PA department. We have a wind instrument department. We have a sheet music department, we have home keyboard department, we have percussion center, and we as well have rentals available for all of the above.
That sounds pretty fantastic. You're servicing for all the equipment as well?
Absolutely. We have 6 full-time technicians who work on the premises to try to take care of our clientele.
Okay, I'd like to run over a few maybe brand names of equipment that you're selling that is readily available, easily serviceable, that the general audience may...
It's a difficult question to answer and respond to only because we cater with almost every brand name that's available out there on the market today. And that changes from year to year depending on who's coming up with what. We try to get the hippest products for our clientele. And when they ask us about products, we try to get it for them if we don't, in fact, have it in stock presently.
But you do carry all the industry standards such as Gibson, PV, JBL.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We carry all the industry standards. In our electric guitar room, we have approximately 450 guitars on the walls. And in the acoustic guitar rooms, there's approximately 300 guitars on the walls. Multi-trackers, we have everything available to you. The nice thing about Steve's Music Store is everything is hands-on, so that everybody could feel comfortable coming down to Steve's Music Store and touching the equipment, playing with the equipment. It's an introduction to let the people come into the store. A lot of people who come in have likened Steve's Music Store to a Disneyland type of atmosphere where they feel comfortable, they get excited about the products, and they can actually feel and touch the products. And it's not behind glass or behind a curtain or behind a barrier. It's available straight up for them to have fun with.
Yeah, me myself, I've just finished playing with a few of the processing effects, and I found one of them that I seem to enjoy using a lot. I know what you're trying to say. It is very comfortable to come into Steve's.
We are a family here as a staff, and we liken our clientele to being family as well. And we have a lot of repeat clients. I know you very well, Rob. We have a lot of repeat clients who come in and shoot the breeze with us. We have a good time with them. We answer their needs and we cater to their needs. And it's just a comfortable feeling where they can walk through the doors and feel this certain aura about Steve's Music Store and feel comfortable about coming into the store.
About how much staff does it take to run Steve's?
Approximately 40 to 50 staff members in the Montreal location.
How many Steves are there across Canada?
There are 3 across Canada presently. We have an operation obviously here in Montreal, we have an operation in Toronto, and an operation in Ottawa.
Well, thanks very much for talking with me, Sheldon. This has been a real pleasure, and
It's been my
we'll do it
pleasure.
again
Thank you,
sometime.
Rob. Please, let's do it again.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Rob here for Offstage. I'm here in Super Sweet Studios with John Kennedy from Pirate Communication. John, could you explain a little bit about what your service has to offer?
Okay, it really is a service. We're a production house that produces video clips, videos, TV commercials for different clients that have those basic requirements. In the music business, we're approached by record companies, management companies, artists themselves, or bands to create videos for them.
Your general clientele is in the music industry?
Well, I started in the music business way back when, so I've always had very close ties to it. And once you get it in your system, it's hard to get out of it.
Be sure and tell her.
You do diversify, you do other projects.
Yeah, we do other projects, and that's one thing that helps us. It keeps us fresh. We feel that the fact that we do music videos helps our commercial clients and our corporate video clients, and the fact that we do conventional advertising helps our music video clients, because sometimes a video is perceived as an ad for a record or an artist.
If I was to use your services to create a video, how does it work?
Okay, the way that we're structured internally at Pirate is that you would meet with a producer first. The producer would find out what the song was, what your project was all about from a musical point of view, how much money you would have on hand or how much money you're trying to raise for the project, because we are aware of different governmental and paragovernmental organizations that give grants to produce music videos. From there, the production would give it to a director, and the director would elaborate a concept based on the song. At that point, all of the details regarding the project would be worked out with the director of photography, the actual cameraman on the project, and an artistic director who collaborates on the actual look of the project.
Earlier, I've watched your demonstration tape from last year. Which would you say was the oddest or strangest job you had to produce for, say, that video?
On that video, there are a whole bunch of things. I think one of the most striking things was the Mindstorm video clip that we did for Aquarius Records, where we ended up having a television set in a room projecting water and confetti and all sorts of things at someone that was sitting in a chair at the other side of the room watching the television. Another one would have been perhaps Danielle Lavoie dressed up as a New York rapper. Or his Pat Du Rap video, which we shot in Super 8 film. Every little production has its own little hook to it, its own little treasure to it.
You do use several different forms of film.
Yeah, we do. I think for the most part, music videos are done in 16mm film because it's quite cost effective and you do get the film texture or the film look. On higher budget productions, we shoot in 35mm film, which ends up being about 4 times as expensive as 16mm film for various technical reasons. But there's also Super 8 film, which is really beautiful from an aesthetic point of view. It's got great grain and it's got a really rough, tough look to it.
Yeah, how long has Pirate been in business?
We opened our doors up in December of 1985, basically under the guise of being a computer animation production house. But because we had worked in the music business and the audio recording business prior to that, we always kept up those services. And we got a request to shoot a television commercial that involved computer animation and our experience in audio production, so that brought in the whole cinematographic operation. And consequently, we've been offering those 3 services ever since, as well as being really involved in the creative aspect of the project. It's not to say that we don't do projects that aren't predetermined creatively and artistically. It's just that our tendency is to really implicate ourselves in the content and the creative element.
So you choose a lot of the locations?
Well,
or studios?
basically what I'd like to do is shoot in a different corner of the world every week, but that's not always possible. Basically the way productions work is that you're either shooting in studio or you're shooting on location, which is out somewhere in an actual city or in an alleyway somewhere. Right now it's the summer season, so there's a lot more shooting going on outdoors, and we tend to either go away to warmer climates in the winter or else shoot mostly either in people's houses or buildings or in studio where we actually build decors and sets.
coming back.
My name is Rob Campbell. I'm here outside of CoStar Sound and Lighting. We're going to go inside and talk to Steve Costers about some sound equipment. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Rob.
Okay, could you tell me some of the products you make available to the public?
Well, in terms of speaker lines, we carry the JBL speaker line, Electro Voice. We carry PV, Cerwin-Vega, TOA, Turbo Sound. In terms of amplification, we carry QSC, which is a very, very popular brand right now in North America, Electro Voice and PV. In terms of mixers, we carry Yamaha, which is really, really popular in the club and DJ market, as well as Mackie and PV. And in microphones, we carry Electro Voice, AKG, and Shure, and these are industry standards.
Yeah, where are some of these products being used?
Right now we're doing quite a bit of work in clubs. A lot of the dance clubs use our equipment, as well as mobile DJs. They're purchasing their equipment from us. We also cater to the live band market. We sell a lot of equipment to bands on tour. And for a little bit different, we also sell churches, cultural centers. We do things out of the rock and roll business.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, basic questions about some of how things work. Explain to me a bit about how a mixer is functioning with its inputs, output section.
Okay, well, if you would take a mobile DJ, if he would come in looking for a system, he would need a set of speakers, and at that point he would need a power amplifier. The speakers hook up to the power amplifier, and then he would need a mixer, and the power amp hooks up to the mixer. And at that point, he's got his chain, he's got his mixer, power amp, speakers. From there, in his mixer, he would plug in a microphone, he would plug in his turntables, a cassette deck, a CD player, any effect like an echo, and that would all be controlled from the mixer. So the power amp would drive the speakers and give the sound to the system.
So that's what's basically necessary to...
Really, that's what's basically necessary, and even if you go into a large system, it's the same principle, just at a higher level. That's basically higher level in terms of quantity of equipment, in terms of speakers and power amps. And
a live band and a disc jockey work basically
the same thing, except a live band would have a console and mixer that would have more channels, up to maybe 48 channels. And amplification, depending on the venue, could consist of racks of amplifiers, of 10 or 15 amplifiers. And speakers the same way. You would have the proportionate amount of speakers to go along with the power amps.
There's several different forms of processing that are used through the mixing console.
Yeah, well, right now the DJs would use sampling devices. In terms of live bands would use harmonizers, digital delays, digital reverbs, compressors, gates, noise gates, graphic equalizers, parametric equalizers. These all help with the formulating of the sound of the individual channel and as a whole system too.
You make all of this available basically to anybody that needs...
Exactly, for rentals or for purchase. They can either rent that equipment or purchase it.
So you have a large inventory?
Right now, yes, we have quite a bit. The rental inventory is quite large because you can't rent equipment unless you own it, unless you have it physically on hand. So we have a very, very large rental inventory. And in the retail, with our 2 floors, we have a substantial amount, yes.
In servicing, you have replacement parts and technicians?
Well, right now we have about 4 technicians that work on the premises for us. We also are a warranty center for a lot of the makes that we sell, meaning to say that we handle the warranty of other stores in the area in the province of Quebec. Service is very, very important because most of the people that we sell product to need the equipment almost immediately. It's either clubs or DJs. They need the equipment almost on a daily basis. So the turnover time has to be very, very quick. So when someone comes in here, we go out of our way to either lend them a piece or to get it back to them repaired quite quickly. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the availability of parts from the manufacturer.
Okay. You also sell all the small pieces. You have lots of cabling, you have lots of microphones in stock.
Yeah.
And replacement parts and extra things, the tape, gaffer tape, diaphragms. all the little pieces that anybody would need.
Well, sure, because once a person has their sound systems, they'll always need gaffer tape. If they're doing a show somewhere, they've got to tape the cables down on the floor. They've got to use gaffer tape, as well as cables are something that people always need because they break, they get used, so cables have to be replaced. Cartridges for DJs and clubs on the turntables, the cartridges last a period of time and they have to be replaced. So accessories, even though someone might have a system, accessories are very, very important. In lighting, lights, bulbs are very, very important. Gel sheets if they want to change the colors of their power lighting. So all these accessories are a major part of our business. Plugs, definitely. Once a person has a system, there has to always be maintenance on it after, and that's.
How long has CoStar been in business?
We've been incorporated since March of '79, so we're going on to our 13th or 14th year.
That's very impressive.
That's a long time. We've seen a lot of things over the last 14 years, so it's been a lot of fun.
Who's right now your best clientele?
Well, I wouldn't say that we have a best clientele. We have a wide range of clientele, like I said, in terms of clubs and DJs and financial institutions. We deal with a lot of banks. We deal with a lot of cultural centers. We deal with a lot of cities all over the province. So I wouldn't really say that there's a specific client which is our best client. We're a wide, varied company, and we deal with all different types, really.
That's Rick Emmett and Triumph and Lay It on the Line on Show'em 97.7 FM, Montreal's home of rock and roll. Def Leppard before that from Adrenalize and Make Love Like a Man. They'll be here next month. Tickets going on sale for that show tomorrow morning, and I understand some people are already lined up at the Montreal Forum and camping out for those tickets. Just about 2 o'clock with Ken Connors, 19 degrees on an overcast Thursday afternoon, and as usual for Thursday afternoon, it's time for In Focus.
What attracted you to this work?
What attracted me to radio? That's a good question. I think I was always like a media junkie. I was always hooked on whatever was going on in the world. I loved reading magazines. I loved music. Music was a first love of mine, and just the ability to always be on top of whatever's going on in the world and be able to talk about it. And that was the initial attraction.
There's a lot of technical equipment around you. I noticed watching you work while you were live that you operate everything in the studio.
Yeah, unlike a lot of other radio stations where the announcer doesn't do much of the technical work, we do it all here at Show'em. We're the only ones usually in the studio. We start all the records, we play all the commercials, we turn our own microphones on and off, and it's enjoyable. You have more control over your show, I guess, that way.
What do you have attached to the console here?
We have 3 radio ready, I guess you'd call them, broadcast ready CD machines. We have cart machines that play the commercials. We have a tape deck, a reel-to-reel machine that we use quite often, and what we just added in the last year or so is a hi-fi VCR that we use a bit now. I use it for a contest I have in the afternoon called the 150 Film Clip, where I'll play a video right from the VCR and bring it up on the air.
That's interesting. You have the 2 turntables and I believe 2 microphones as well.
Yeah, I almost forgot about the turntables. We use them less and less now, but yeah, every now and then we use a turntable.
Yeah, there's several formats of cassettes in here. One for the commercials, there's CDs.
Yeah, most of all of our commercials actually are played on these old 8-track type tapes. And I guess it's the most convenient form to put the commercials on in different lengths, 30, 60, 90. And they're still used throughout radio, I think.
How do they work?
You're asking a very good question. I'm not too sure how they work. They're recorded. Well, the commercials are recorded in our production studio. The announcer will read a commercial with perhaps music in the background. It'll be first laid down on a reel-to-reel machine and then transferred to this machine by our production manager. And then it's labeled and numbered and brought in here for the announcer to play.
I noticed that because you do all the technical work yourself, Show'em FM has no delay, does it?
No, there's no 7-second delay that you might have on different radio stations. For instance, radio stations that do a lot of talk shows with phone callers calling in, just as a security measure or a precaution, they might have a 7-second delay in case someone called in and said something nasty on the air. They'd have enough time to react and cut it out. But since we don't have really that type of show going on, we do take phone calls on the air, but we usually have a pretty good idea who we're talking to before we bring them up on the air.
So Ken Connors is also a censor.
Yeah, I'm my own censor. I'm working on behalf of the station.
Who do you work with programming?
2 people, basically. Our program director is Ian McLean, and he's responsible for basically everything that goes on the air, music, what the announcers talk about. And our music director, Neil Kushner, is the one who puts together our music that we play on the air. He programs it day to day, hour by hour, with the help of Lee Ellis, who works in our FM library. Those 2 put our music together.
I've been listening to the radio recently. You have a contest for local bands.
Yes, we do every year, or since I've been at Shom, the last 3 or 4 years. It's a Battle of the Bands contest at Tutal, who's been at Shom for a long time. It's his baby, as we say, and he takes care of that. And they solicit tapes, original bands with original songs here in Montreal, and he gets inundated with hundreds of tapes, and he decides which 10 groups are the best, and then they have a battle of the bands, I guess, at Club Soda or one of the venues around town. I think sometimes it's at the Spectrum, other times it's at Club Soda. From those 10 bands, they come up with a Montreal winner. The Montreal winner goes on to the national finals, and I think this year they're out west in Winnipeg. And the Canadian winner goes to Tokyo and goes for the grand prize, which is, I think, is sponsored by Yamaha. It's called the Yamaha International Music Festival. So it starts here in Montreal at Shom, and you could wind up in Tokyo.
That's fantastic to offer to people. Another contest, in a way, that you sort of have here is the 10 at 10.
The top 10, yeah, it's not really a contest, but it's just a...
yeah, how does it work? Do people call in?
People call in. The top 10 at 10 is designed to showcase the 10 hottest songs, new songs that are on Shom right now. You won't have Hotel California or Stairway to Heaven on the top 10 at 10, although those songs might be requested a lot. We use it at 10 o'clock to showcase the new songs, and I'm looking over here because we have a list of last night's top 10 at 10. Throughout the day, people will call in and just, you know, whatever song they're really into, new song they're into, they'll say, hey, can I vote for it for the top 10? So they'll be guaranteed, with a certain amount of votes, they'll be guaranteed on hearing it in the top 10 every night. Like last night's Slaughter was the #1 song, got the most votes. Faith No More. U2's latest is just slipped off the top 10. Tom Cochrane is on. So it's all the latest new music that people are calling in to hear.
Peppermint Patty, I have a question.
Sure.
Is that her real name?
It's her nickname, and I think she got it from her raspy, horsey voice, which it sounds a lot like the cartoon character, the Peanuts cartoon character, Patty. I think it's Patty.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where, but I was in another city. It might have been Toronto, and I heard another Peppermint Patty on the air.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah. It's kind of
flattery, I guess.
Trivia.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she got it. Her full name is Patricia Lorange, and but her nickname is Peppermint Patty, and I think it comes from the way her voice sounds, that raspy voice.
Yeah, I've noticed some songs seem to get played more often than others. There's an industry term called maximum rotation. Do you know how, like, say, Neil Kirshner has assessed whether or not a record deserves maximum rotation?
Do I know how he assesses that?
Yeah.
Well, I think a couple of factors come into play. Let's say the new Def Leppard, if it's in heavy rotation right now, which we just played, Make Love Like a Man, that'll we'll put it in heavy rotation based on, are we getting a lot of calls for it? How it's doing on the charts around North America, if it's getting a lot of airplay, to determine whether it's really hot. Plus, we'll check to see how well the Def Leppard album is selling in Montreal. We'll do a retail check, as we call it. We'll call Sam the Record Man, HMV. And if the Def Leppard album is really selling, that means Montrealers are coming in and they're taking that home. So that's a hot record. So we'll try to play it a little more often than something that's not doing as well, because that's obviously what people want to hear.
Hi, Francois.
Hello, Rob.
Yeah, could you tell me a little bit about the equipment that is available here at Système Guinois?
Okay, we do have some lighting, we have some sound equipment. We have also some equipment for musician, as drum, guitar amp, and stuff like that. And we also have effects, EQ, and some different equipment that people use to do show, concert, or party.
Could you tell me a little bit about what kind of products you have available?
Okay. If I start by the speaker, we do rent for the biggest show. We have the turbo sound system, and the model is the TMS3. It's a really powerful speaker box. In each speaker box you have 215, a 210, and a driver 2-inch, and each speaker cabinet drive over 1,000 watt per cabinet. It's really powerful. When you put 24 like that, you develop like over 24,000 watts of sound. And this is for our, let's say, our biggest show. And then we have other kind of cabinet. We have the smaller cabinet fan with the 15 and a horn. And those cabinets are smaller. They could be, we can transport them in a car. And it's good for smaller party, even like in a small club or in a church or something like that. We also have like even smaller than that. We have some tannoy small monitoring system that could be used in a house or something like that. And what do we have? We have some GBL monitor. They could be used for practicing, or if a band needs something to listen themselves in a practice place, they use some monitor, or for stage purpose. Also, what do we have? A small cabinet.
Could you tell me something about your processing?
Okay.
And consoles?
Yeah. The console, we do have like, let's say we start by the 36 channel PV board, and we have some Soundcraft 32 channel and 24 channel. And we have some smaller board like Yamaha 16, Yamaha 24 channels, Yamaha 12 channel board. And also we have some smaller board like TOA 6 channel board with an amp inside the board. And we have some processor. We do have the Yamaha product for FX, and also we have some Roland Lexicon, and all kinds of effects for delay, reverb, chorus, flanger, all kind of effects that musicians need to do their show or recording or stuff like that.
If I was to rent something from Système Guinois, how much notice would I need? What's the availability of your products?
Well, we have a lot of equipment. You don't need a notice more than, if it's a big show, then it's good to prepare in advance and do a contract, let's say a month in advance. This is a good delay for one month for a big show. If it's something that doesn't need much equipment, it could be done the same day. Even an hour in advance, it's okay for us to prepare the equipment. But it's all the time good to try to find some equipment for rental or sales. Let's say it's good to have a couple of days in advance. It's all the time good. 1 to 3 days in advance is usually good enough to prepare the equipment.
Where are some of your pieces of equipment being used right now?
Oh, we have some in clubs. We have some bands do rent the equipment and travel all over Quebec or all over Canada with it. And it's hard to locate where it is right now because it could be just anywhere. But we rent it to the client that comes, or the band that comes at the door here. We rent them the equipment that they need, and then they just go with it. And sometimes they go for a month, 2 months, and we never see them. And they travel from place to place, and they do all kinds of shows. And sometimes we do install them into clubs, then it stayed in the club, sometime into some church, sometime school, and different events that appear all around Montreal. It's like just for a weekend, for a day, a couple of weeks. It's everywhere. It's just everywhere. The equipment, it's hard to locate where it is, but we have equipment all over the place.
Could you tell me a little bit about your lighting?
Okay, we have a special. We we do, we have like maybe over 600 cans, and we use the digital dimmer NSI with the board NSI also. It's all digital equipment, and all the lights are mounted into trusses already. And when you do rent a set of lights, you rent the all the dimmer and everything is included in the trusses, and in the lights are already built in the truss. That way you avoid to transport the case, and everything is all the time ready to go. And we have over 600 lamps like that. Also, we rent some different effects like smoke machine and different stuff like that, bar of rain light, aircraft, things like that, you know.
You mentioned churches and schools that had somewhat permanent or also bought equipment inside them. Do you do your own installations?
Yes, when we're asked to do an installation for a school or a church or something like that, we do the full installation, full service guarantee, like the whole thing for all kinds of places. It could be a church, like a sound system for a church, or lighting for a school. It could be like sound equipment for a department in a school, like audiovisual. They need usually some sound equipment they want to use for their student. We do sell them, provide them that equipment.
You have your own technicians?
Yeah, we have technicians that we do send over there, like to install a team of technicians, including like the truck and like a full team, 4 or 5 guys going and doing full installation. But mostly what we do, it's if a client come here and wants a sound system installed in town or out of town with a totally full installation, including the technician, the whole setup, even if we have to build the stage, supply them the power, and like the monitor guys, the technician for the house, the light man, some guys on the photo, we do supply the whole thing, a full package. We go out even like a couple of, you know, anywhere around, you know, even like 100 miles around Montreal, and do full installation. And I'm saying 100 miles, it could be like Quebec or whatever, and doing the full installation, full service, full transport, everything. Like the client don't touch nothing, and his show's going to be on and everything's going to work perfectly.
How many people do you have working with you now?
Like we have full-time about 6-7 people, and then like we do call some technicians for the summer that work when it's the hot season. We do hire more people. Maybe we have another 5 to 6 guys that are hired just like part-time. You know?
And work a little bit in the jazz festival here in Montreal?
Not really, but we do have another company that we own that rents some studio time, and we do rent for the musician some drum equipment, guitar amp, some small PA to practice, but we're not involved into the jazz festival renting the PA in the street, on the street.